fringes of nutrition and nature-based technologies on how to alleviate pain and how to be prophylactic in terms of dis-ease in our body and our soul and our mind and every other aspect of life you can think of. I'm always astonished by the conventional wisdom in their way of thinking, the very linear, mechanistic, kind of outline in which conventional science or conventional, wisdom, so to speak, likes to think about things and kind of just make blanket statements, make generalizations, and not really treat people as individuals, as human beings, essentially, but more like robots, more like machines, and just to tinker with the gears in the machine, which is one of my pet peeves when it comes to surgical intervention. But anyways, one of those aspects that I'm thinking about right now is the concept of acid reflux. And in the medical world, this is called GERD, or gastroesophageal reflux disease. And this is basically where acids, gastric acids from the ball of our stomach rise up into the thin lining of our esophagus. And at our esophagus, there's a little muscular clamp. It's called the esophageal sphincter. And what happens is that clamp is supposed to constrict when acid production is burning up food for digestion. And somehow that clamp, it loosens up, it expands, and the acids come out. That's what we call acid reflux. And conventional wisdom has told us that when that happens, it's because we have too much acid. We have too much gastric acids in our stomach, and we need to take acid blockers to reduce acid production. And what we found over the years is that this is not only a very faulty kind of idea, it's highly dangerous for people, because one of the issues, immunologically speaking, is that of hydrochloric acid, and how we actually need our stomach to be like a furnace when we're burning up food, especially if we're consuming any kind of animal-based foods, any kind of heavy fats, oils, protein, especially because in order for us to digest protein, we need to secrete an enzyme called pepsin, and that is activated by the production of hydrochloric acid. So we need these acids, and actually what's going on in society at large is that there's a massive decrease in hydrochloric acid, and we found out that that is actually the culprit behind GERD, or acid reflux. And to suppress our hydrochloric acid or gastric acids even further causes us to go into more of a deficit and causes us to become very digestively insufficient. We can't burn up our food. The doctors are not giving patients any kind of dietary alteration. It's still eat the same food, but just take these medications anyways, throw these pills down your mouth, and go about your day. And that's why there's a huge supplement industry for HCl, hydrochloric acid. And if you are one of these people, I recommend you look into doing hydrochloric acid, because not only is it important for metabolizing your food, it's important for protecting your immune system. What a lot of people don't realize is that hydrochloric acid actually acts as a firewall between our digestion, between our entire tubing system, and microbes. That's fungus, yeast, bacteria, worms, every type of pathogen you can imagine gets blocked off or gets incinerated based on the protective firewall that hydrochloric acid actually is. That's one of the main reasons we have hydrochloric acid, besides burning up our food, is to actually protect us from these microbe invaders. And actually over time, as these invaders, these invasive organisms get into the system, they get through the drawbridge of our digestive system, it starts to compromise our immune system. Over time, our immune system is not able to shoulder the load, and it starts to break down. That's how even in children we see that there's something called an umbilical cord transfer, or a parasitic transfer, that follows into the umbilical cord when a child is born if that mother has not done any kind of cleansing, any kind of detoxification, and she herself has a parasitic load burden on her immune system is completely shot as well. So that's why it's so important that we take that aspect into consideration. And then the other side of it is incorporating specific substances that help us produce hydrochloric acid. Salt is one of them. We see that when people become too alkaline, they go into a state of alkalosis, which is the counterbalance of acidification. It's alkalosis is too alkaline, it's too damp. Like Chinese philosophy is the reason they're not into raw food is because of the idea of a damp, wet spleen. Look into the Vedic system too. That's why there's the three doshas. That's why you have specific constitutions, and each person is different. It's the same thing with the blood type theory. Is that the blood type idea is that basically each person has a different propensity for burning up different foods. Different blood types, like blood type A, for example, has more. They have a quicker propensity to thicken their blood. They don't produce enough hydrochloric acid. That's why if a blood type A eats meat regularly, they have there's a greater reduction in their lifespan statistically. But blood type O's are more geared towards basically being able to eat whatever they want, generally, whatever the macronutrients are. They can get away with more haphazard behavior because their blood is a lot thinner. They don't coagulate. The blood cells don't compound as easily, and they produce more hydrochloric acid than any other blood type group. So when we start to look at these different ideas that have been proposed in the nutrition world, and we start to distill it down and get to the core of what they're actually saying, it becomes kind of like obvious, like, whoa, it's actually all about your ability to produce gastric acids and how well your blood is able to keep a slipperiness, to keep that vasodilation, that blood flow going. And salt has a lot to do with producing hydrochloric acid. If you are on a low salt diet for too long, on a catabolic detox diet for too long, then you could become too damp, too moist, and that can become a breeding ground for pathogens. One of the big issues with acid, hydrochloric or acid reflux, acid reduction is Helicobacter pylori, which is well known. It's a bacterial infection, which is well known to be associated with acid reduction, with acid reflux, something to pay attention to. Another thing I want to say in this video is that I recommend 2 herbs specifically for this whole pathogen protection concept is cat's claw, which is otherwise known as uno de gato, and pau d'arco. These are 2 traditional Amazonian barks, and these are used in combination in a formula. Pau d'arco is highly antifungal. It's used actually. It's used for a lot of different things. Basically, it's used to activate your immune system's probability of protecting yourself. It increases the probability or the possibility that your immune system becomes so intelligent that it can target invasive organisms as they come into your body. It also increases pliability of the joints, of the ligaments, and it's antifungal. So it's great for becoming a protective agent as you accumulate the substance in your body over time. The other thing is cat's claw. Cat's claw is highly antibacterial, right? And you combine these 2 together, you have a powerful antimicrobe, antipathogen, protective, immunoprotective strategy to implement. And you also combine that with the reishi mushrooms and the chaga and the cordyceps and the turkey tail and the lion's mane and the shiitake and the all the great medicinal mushrooms that help amplify the intelligence of our white blood cells. So you have a 1, 2, 3 punch. You hit every rung on the ladder instead of just doing one thing. You're kind of creating a strategic approach. You're creating an artillery force which is essentially what your immune system is. Your immune system is your military to combat all the forces of our environment, of our atmosphere.